Okay, so on Friday, we were in the middle of Rabbi Usher Weiss's short response about Bikkur Cholim, about the mitzvah for visiting people who are ill in the current circumstances. Of course, written just as a reminder in Israel on the 27th of ER, so shortly before Shavuot, earlier this calendar year. So he noted that when there's sakanat nefashot, when there is any form of threat to life through Bikkur Cholim, one must not do it. By the way, this also can apply in hospital setting as well, not just simply in a regular setting, so to speak, unfortunately, not just when there's a pandemic happening on. And he says that one should avoid Bikkur Cholim. And we noted the particular background to this was that the mitzvah Bikkur Cholim is best done in person because of the opportunity to interact with another person and even to cheer them up, if one is able to do so, is very important. And that's the primary way of doing it, just as Abraham was visited by the Malachim, as we mentioned, when he was recovering, as noted at the beginning of Parashat Vayera. So Rabbi Weiss looks into this and says, well, what else can we do? And he notes that there is a responsum of the Ramah, Rabbi Moshe Issel, this great Ashkenazi writer on the Shulchan Aruch in the 16th century, who was asked about this question in respect of a plague which took place in Krakow. And he, in his response, he says that if there is a plague and you can go and help people, of course you must do so, but not if it's a plague which is going to endanger your own life. So Rabbi Weiss brings an additional support from the Ramah, one of the greatest of the Ashkenazi authorities. He says that if it's something which is easily transmitted and it's very difficult to know if you have it, then there's no mitzvah Bikkur Cholim. So in such a case, there is no mitzvah Bikkur Cholim. That's what it is. And Rabbi Weiss then continues and says, even if someone wants to be, and this is his angle, the person wants to be really stubborn about this and say that I can sit at a distance away from the person who is ill, and I can wear a mask in order to reduce the risk of there being any infection. Rabbi Weiss says, no, this still doesn't work, because the priority here is with alacrity and with great care to follow the instructions of the health ministry. He's writing in the Israeli context, but that applies obviously everywhere. And if everybody was to follow what they thought was the appropriate path in their own eyes and the thing that they wanted to do, then we get into a kind of situation, as to borrow the words from the book of Shoftim, the book of Judges, everybody just does whatever is right in their eyes. There ain't no sheriff in the town. And therefore, everybody thinks I can make up the law my own way, and I can find 101 reasons why it doesn't apply to me, but it applies to someone else. And that will be catastrophic, says Rabbi Weiss. And he therefore says that in this particular time of pandemic, which is as strong as easily transmitted, one must not do Bikkur Cholim in the usual way. He says, but nonetheless, in our days, he says, when you can easily speak with people or see them through technological means, as we do with Zoom, then he says that this is a way to fulfill the mitzvah Bikkur Cholim. It's not the best way of fulfilling mitzvah Bikkur Cholim, but it's a way to do so. So in other words, rather than just the person when you make a phone call or you make a Zoom call to someone who unfortunately is not well, or even is isolating and is lonely, it's not just there's a mitzvah Gimilut Chasadim and being nice here, but if unfortunately they are ill, then there's a mitzvah Bikkur Cholim. You're getting two for the price of one, even if you can't go and see them in person. And he says in a situation like this is the best way we can fulfill this mitzvah. And I suppose we can add at the same time, you're also fulfilling the mitzvah, not endangering life as well. So very interesting, I think, that Rabbi Weiss says one shouldn't be, in his words, stubborn and say, I can find some great ways to get around this. You're not doing the mitzvah that way. Do the mitzvah in the best way, which is Gemilut Chasadim, which is Bikkur Cholim to the best of our ability, and also which is Sakanat Nefashot, it's saving people's lives, the others, and one's own life as well. So this is his response, quick response, written, as I said, to the thousands of questions he was getting. This one was towards the end of the month of ER, but I think it's a very important, methodologically speaking, showing how to analyze the question, as well as the conclusions which he comes to. So have a great day, and Shavuot Tov, and all being well, see you either later on or tomorrow.